Hi guys, this is take like 85 of the same video, so let me try to get it right this time. So we're simplifying square roots today. So on your screen, what you see are the first 15 perfect squares. They go from 1 to 225. So please pause this video right now and write them down on a separate sheet of paper because I won't be coming back to this screen again. All right, here we go. So what you're going to be asked to do when simplifying square roots, you're going to have a bunch of questions. I'm just going to quickly show you how to do it or remind you how to do it. The first one we'll get back to because that's one of those harder problems. We're going to simplify square roots first the right way, and then I'll show you the easy quiz taking trick hack that I showed you when we were actually doing this in class, the test taking strategy way. So the square root of 384. Remember, we could break up any square root into a product of two other square roots. The number that we're going to put into the first square root is going to be a perfect square that we just had on our list. And the number that we put into this square root is not going to be a perfect square. We're not going to be able to simplify the one on the right. The one on the left, we're going to be able to simplify. So what you're going to want to do, especially if you're not intuitive with this, you're going to take the number 384. You'll grab your calculator on your phone, and you're going to start dividing it. You're going to go from the bottom of that list that I just showed you up to the top because you want the biggest perfect square that'll divide into it. Some of you might already realize that numbers like 225 and 196 aren't going to divide evenly into this 384 because it's more than, those numbers are more than half of 384. But if you didn't realize that, you could do this. So we're going to start at the bottom of the list, which is 225. So 384 divided by 225 doesn't go in evenly. So I'm going to go to the next number up, which is 196, not evenly. 384 divided by the next number up, which is 169. Doesn't go in evenly. 384 divided by the next number up, which is 144. It doesn't work, or it doesn't go in evenly. Oops, I'm not clearing it. 384 divided by the next number up, which is 121. Doesn't go in evenly. 384 divided by the next number up, which is 100. That's not going to go in evenly. 384 divided by the next number up does not go in evenly. Divided by the next number up, which does. So this means that 64 times 6 will give us 384. So now I know that 64 times 6 equals 384. Therefore, I know that the square root of 64 times the square root of 6 equals the square root of 384, okay? Because I could break that up into its two factors, all right? Now, this number, I told you the square root on the left, you're always going to be able to simplify. That's always going to be a perfect square. So I know that the square root of 64 is 8. If you didn't know that, you would go back to your calculator. If you have an iPhone, you're going to flip it sideways. You're going to type in 64, and you're going to find the square root button, which is the one, it's the down 1, 2, it's in the third column, or second column, third row down. Okay, so you find 8 there. Now this number, the square root of 6, if you do this right, you'll never ever be able to simplify that any further. Okay, so all you are going to do with that right-hand side is copy it down. So 8 square root of 6 is equivalent to the square root of 384. Let's see if that's one of our choices. Oh, and lo and behold, here it is. Okay, so your answer is A. Ooh, why is that not? There we go. All right, so that's the long way of doing this. If you wanted to do this the short way, you would take 384, find the square root in your calculator. Remember, we're going to flip that. 384 square root is 19.5959, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to write down I'm going to write it in a different color. Let's change this up. Could I change it up? Yeah, let's write it in purple, just because. So that's, oh, sorry, my fingers. That is 19.59, 59, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you're going to come over here to your choices. So it's 19.59, which means that your answer must be 19 or smaller. So if you're looking at your choices, 64 and 96 are already bigger than 19, so they're not going to be your answers. Okay, the only choices you would have is 8 square root of 6 or 12 square root of 2. So if you have an iPhone or even an Android phone, I think your calculators, you'll have to do something like this to it. So for 8 square root of 6, first you would have to find the square root of 6 and then multiply that by 8. And see, it's 19.5959, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me write it down. And I'll just show you 19. Oh, that's so ugly. I'm so sorry. All right, so those numbers match. So that's why 8 would be your answer. But say you didn't know that, you would want to check out that 12 square root of 2. So first you put the square root of 2 in your calculator and then multiply it by 12. That's in front. And you get 16.97, which does not match our 19.59. So A would be your answer either way you're going there. Question 3, same thing. So basically all of these questions, you're doing the same, dividing and figuring it out. So let's just pick another random one. Let's go, sorry if this is making you sick. Let's go the square root of 1,440. This is a big number, but if you're looking at those numbers on your list, what number looks very similar to that? 144, right? So I'm going to assume that that's the biggest number that's going to go in there. And it is 1,444. I didn't mean that. 1,440 divided by 144 is 10. So you're going to break this up. Ooh, I kept it as purple. As square root of 144 times the square root of 10. The square root of 144, you could put that in your calculator if you want. That's 12. And you keep the square root of 10. Okay. So that answer matches with D. Okay, and let's do square root of 486 the fast and easy way. So I'm going to take my calculator, flip it sideways, type in my number 486, and find the square root, which is 22.045, blah, blah, blah. Let me write this down. Let's change my color again. What did I say it was? 22.045, blah, blah, blah. So that number has to match one of these. All right, so 22 is the biggest number that we could have on the outside of the square root. So 81 is way bigger than 22. So A is not going to be my answer. 324, that didn't come out when we did that. And we didn't get 18 out when we did it either. So actually, I didn't look at the choices, but our answer would be C. Let's just make sure that number matches 22.045 when we throw it in our calculator. Now, don't forget, when we're putting this in our calculator, not in our school calculator, but here at home on our phones, you're going to put the square root of 6 in first, then times the number out in front, which is 9. Okay, I know it's weird, and it's not how we normally put it into our calculators at school, but that's all we have to work with right now, unless some of you have calculators like we have at school. In that case, use those. So I'm going to put the 6 in, find the square root, and then multiply it by the 9 that was out in front, which is 22.0454, blah, 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 blah. which is exactly what the square root of 486 is. All right. Finally, let's go to these harder problems. I'm going to go up to the top. We have 2 examples of them. We're asked the expression above should be further simplified for which value of x. So you're going to take the number that's inside, which is 141, and you're going to find all of the factors. You're going to start with 2. So you're going to take 141 and divide it by 2. Doesn't go unevenly. So then you go to the next number, which is 3. And it works. 3 times 47. So you're going to take 3 times 37 here. All right. Because I have these numbers, I'm going to take the smallest one. So 3 is the smallest factor of 144 besides 1. And I'm going to take the 3 and divide it into every single one of these numbers. The one that it goes into evenly is the one that's our answer, and I'll tell you why. If 3 goes into 144 and 3 goes into one of these numbers, that means that there's 2 3s inside of this. That means that there's a 3 times 3 somewhere. So 3 times 3 is 9. And if you look back to your list, 9 is on the perfect square list, and we could further simplify it then. So you take your calculator, 13 divided by 3. Doesn't go unevenly. 39 divided by 3. There it is. So 3 divides into 39 evenly. Therefore, I'll be able to simplify that expression if 33 was x. All right. You do the same thing for this one. It's square root of 115x. So you're looking for, this one's actually easier because I know what number is going to go into this one. If it ends in 5 or 0, I know 5. It's going to go in there. So 115 divided by 5, you get 23. So you have to take all these numbers and divide them by 5. The only one that it's going to go into evenly, I don't even need my calculator, is going to be 215 because 215 ends in a 5. All right. And that's how you're going to do those. So refer back to this when you're doing this. All right. I hope this was a little